Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This document is actually related to a particular industry in USA, but the document consists of very important information related to environmental audits. So that's why I wish that mm, please go through this document because it is providing a very comprehensive information on the environmental auditing. So again, uh, if you consider some of the basics like it is some and the definition is here, like what is environmental audit. So here is the definition that as defined in ISO 14000, it is a systematic documented verification process of objectively obtaining and evaluating audit evidence to determine whether specified environmental activities, events, conditions, management systems, or information about these matters conform with the audit criteria and communicating the results of this process. So this is a very brief definition, which is again focusing that all the procedures will be considered in comparison with the standards. So again, the example we have is the NEQS, National Environmental Quality Standard for us, which we are adopting in our country. And so if you go into the details, the audit should be carried out following the ISO standard 14011 on environmental auditing procedures, including a kickoff meeting. So kickoff basically means the first meeting in which the targets are planned and duties are assigned, and basically it is the initial phase of any kind of activity. So that's called kickoff activity meeting. Detailed inspections, interviews, document reviews, as well as close-out meetings with the plant management. So what is the purpose of implementing environmental audit program? So I think we have already covered these topics, and if you can just observe, in simple words, any business activity has an implication on environment, and we need to identify those aspects and those environmental impacts, and finally those impacts will be observed in the form of any environmental degradation. So now the standards and the organizations have already been in existence to keep the all these implications and environmental impacts within limits. And now this auditing is conducted only to ensure whether the business activity, whether the industrial activity is fulfilling those is fulfilling the requirement of those standard organizations or not. So this is the very simplified version. So again, I will request you to go through this document, and so these are the 5 objectives. Verification of the legislative and regulatory compliance as clear. Assessment of internal policy and procedural conformance. Okay, it is like assessment because the industry or organization has developed its own environmental policy as well, so that is also required to be fulfilled. And then site investigations, and then identification of improvement opportunities. This is the step which we talked, like waste reduction. then finally the report generation. So please go through these things one by one, and I want you to have a look at the procedure, how we are actually going to find out what are the possible impact and how we are going to study. So please move to the end. Here we have this audit checklist. So please, this is important. So site environmental audit checklist. So site information, here the details are given. We have the points for environmental discharge shown on the map, and then site description, what is going on that site, and then site history, if there is any mishap or any environmental issue created earlier or not. If you check, this is now air quality. Then we have water quality, we have storm water, water resources, surface mining permits. So all these things are actually the basic environmental parameters, and which are going to have an impact, environmental impact. So possible impact. So we will be first of all studying, has an air quality permit been issued for this facility, permit number, and follow up needed. So this permit number is going to be issued by the regulatory authority that will check all the strakes and check the burners, will check the exhaust emissions, and then they will permit this operational unit to work. So whether now for example, take an example of an incinerator placed in a hospital waste unit. First of all, the regulatory authority EPA will visit that place, and they will issue an regulatory permission based on the existing condition of that incinerator. They will evaluate the design of that incinerator, different components of the incinerator, including the stake, including the chambers, including the burners and the wet scrubbers, and all the things involved with that incinerator. Then the permit will be given, and then you will be allowed to work using that incinerator. So you will be quoting here whether the permission is there or not. So this is first regulatory permission which is required. Then the date, and then the air emissions being controlled. All these things are on-site observations. So these on-site observations will relate with the standards. So if we have any kind of issue, we will note down the follow-up required. So just for your information, we will have a follow-up maybe on some regular intervals. Similarly, water quality will again have a permission from the regulatory bodies like EPA, or maybe VASA is also one of the regulatory bodies. They will also give permission so that the work on this operational unit may be started. So here are the observations, and then here are the follow-ups. So this checklist is basically the main component of the environmental audit. So we are comparing the fulfillment of all the regulatory requirements by the regulatory bodies. And then secondly, we are observing the processes being conducted at that site, and thirdly, we are checking whether those processes are within the limit or not. If they are not, then we need to have some compliance required. So these are some of the things which are important. All the observations will be taken and then monitored. So this is the brief description about the environmental audits. Thank you.